And we are live. Happy New Year. Content provided at the event is for general information only, not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Any performance reference is historical, and there is no guarantee of future results. All indices are in management and being invested into directly. Any economic forecasts set forth in the event may not develop as predicted. There can be no guarantee that any strategy will be successful. These thoughts and opinions are those of Gimbal Financial and do not represent the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member of SFEC, and investment advice is offered through Gimbal Financial, registered investment advisor, and separate entity from LPL Financial. Ooh, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Looking
All is
dapper,
well.
Keith.
Well, I'm enjoying it. Anytime I try to have privacy on a Zoom meeting, I get a guest that comes in. That my dog just came busting in just as we started. So she's staring at me, giving me the, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all is well. All is well in the world. Keith has his game suit on for 2022. Lance Stevenson is back with the Pacers and dropped 20 points in the first quarter the other day. I mean, things are trending in the right direction already.
He made me go check on Ron Artest. Those two names. So I wondered what was up with Ron Artest.
Let's not bring what's his name? Meta World Peace.
No, he's got a hyphenated name now. He got rid of World Peace and added his wife's name to his hyphenated name. So it's Meta something. I don't know.
Meta something, you know.
Yeah.
He and Facebook, Meta. We at the Shreve House, we are Lance fans. Lance keeps it fun, and so we are Lance fans at the Shreve House. But speaking of Shreves, I got my business associate with me here today. You want to say hi, Spencer? Hi. Spencer's over here doing some math. So Mrs. Leffler, right? This is proof that Spencer's doing his homework on the road right here. So doing some math homework. So hi from Fayetteville, Arkansas, which this is one of our favorite corners of the world. And so Spencer and I are here on his 10-year-old trip, which he turns 11 in a couple of weeks. But we've tried to do his 10-year-old trip for about a year now, but COVID has gotten in the way a couple times. And so we're just grateful to be on the road and doing things. And I tell you what, not many people are. For example, this is what we did yesterday. Can you see that?
That's pretty cool.
We were driving past the arch and Spence said, "Hey, could we go over there?" So we just did. We didn't have a plan to do it. We saw it and we did it. And matter of fact, we got a parking space really close. Nobody busted out my windows. I was very grateful for that. Thank you, St. Louis. And we just walked right in, got a ticket. I forget what it was, $20 for the two of us or something like that, to be able to go up in a National Treasure. It was absolutely wonderful. So 22, be like Lance Stevenson and get out there and embrace some new challenges. Hey, one more thing about Lance real quick. He sat out for 2 years, basically preparing, taking care of his body. And some of you have been sitting out for a while. And it's time to start prepping again and being ready to get out and get back into the game. And so that's my hype and my excitement for you guys here as we get into 22.
When we got to the arch back in the day when the kids were little, that's where we discovered that little Kelly Tyner was afraid of heights. She just
not a good place to discover that.
You get in those little garbage can size elevators and they take you to the top of that thing. And she was traumatized. But again, a shout out to Kelly Tyner is that we took her to places worse than that. We took her to the Grand Canyon and a variety of other things. And she was able to conquer her fears. And today, I don't even think you could say she's afraid of heights, but I think that's something that everybody's going to have to learn in 2022 because we've been given a constant message of fear for 2 years. So maybe they'll do that this year. Maybe you can do that if you've got some anxieties.
Yeah, that's a good word. What's Eric doing down there in the bottom corner of my screen? I don't know where he is on your screens, but what are you doing over there, Eric?
I'm at home right now. So just a little remote work right now. But I got a really good joke. I've been telling Amanda some great jokes this past week. And
Every
Doug, I
week?
think,
What are you talking about? Not just this
you're
week.
right, you're right. So the joke of the day is, how does a cucumber become a pickle?
No,
No.
that one.
It goes through a jarring experience.
Oh,
Yes, it does.
nice.
I really like that one. That one made me giggle this morning.
Now here's Eric. I'm gonna put you on the spot. You've been meeting with experts lately, and I forget who defined an expert as someone who has 10,000 hours of experience doing something. But tell us about something you've learned from an expert here in the last week or so.
Yeah, something that it's funny that what you were just talking about a little while ago, but consistency and how consistency over time can really increase your value and your skill level. Even if you're just, doing one thing every day, if you're consistent with it, it'll have a compounding effect and really grow. So that is something that I've been taking away from. It's been really consistent with a lot of the experts that I've been meeting with and the big name people I've been meeting with. And I am definitely taking that one down to heart.
That's very cool. That's a good word. Well, I've got a couple paths might be of interest to go down today, but I'm sure you guys do too. Keith, should we bring up the markets real quick and take a look at what we've got going on?
Yeah, give me a second here to get the markets going here. Let's see. Let's just, I'm going to move this and see what happens if this share screen comes over with me.
As Keith's doing this, one of the things that Keith consistently does, being an expert here, is faithfully looking at these charts. And so Keith there's 197 different industries that our technology allows us to keep up with. And of these industries, you have industries that are leading, you have industries that are lagging, and we look at these constantly. And the way we judge them is just like we do on this call when we talk about the 50-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, that are the number of buyers or sellers greater than their average has been over the last 50 days. And so we're looking for those trends. We're looking to see what is favorable and what is not favorable. And here's one that hasn't been too favorable. I guess this is an index, not necessarily a industry group, but what's going on here, Keith, with the Nasdaq?
Well, the Nasdaq peaked out right at 16.2 level. And then if you just look right down here, I'm going to box this out for you. And just focus on the colors down here. I don't know if you can see this, but the blue is the volume on up days and the red is the volume on down days. And then if you kind of contrast that with this little stretch right through here, you can kind of see that there was some money coming into it, but over here, and the market was rallying up, but over here, we haven't seen a lot of money coming into the Nasdaq type stocks, and we've seen it test this low here 3 times. And this action this week hasn't been particularly healthy. There's been a lot of selling going on. So that's what's going on in the Nasdaq. The S&P 500 is a little stronger. You can see on the Nasdaq here that this is the 50-day moving average, and this is the S&P 500. The Nasdaq, it violated that this week. The S&P 500 is holding up on that. Interestingly enough, 5% of the stocks in the S&P 500, it means 500 stocks, 25 stocks account for about 40% of the swing we've had in this market. So the broader market, meaning those other 475 stocks, haven't done much, and so
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry, Keith, that's just a mind-blowing fact that very few of the stocks are moving or have moved a whole group, and that's the power of owning individual names.
Yeah, and the risk as well. Again, these are historical data that I'm going to show you. You can get this; it's readily available anywhere. This chart service is MarketSmith, but this is, we've talked about. This was one of the leading stocks through the COVID shutdown. Your Zoom video has dropped, more than half. Some of you have used Teledoc, to go to the doctor. This thing has dropped. It peaked out here at 300, and you can buy all you want today at 85. And we're not recommending that. We're just saying that this market has been very difficult. We use
Look at all those sellers, man.
Yeah, we use DocuSign through LPL, and it was a leading stock with the COVID lockdown. And again, it peaked out over here at about 340, and you can buy all you want today at 140, $200 less. And so this market is definitely got a lot of challenges going on under the surface level. I'll show you another thing that we've been talking about for several weeks now. Let's back up here. Sorry about this. I'm slow on the draw here. Well, the one thing I was going to show you, and it's not right on my screen right now, is that the number of highs, stocks dropping below their 250 and 21-day moving average, continues to be weaker than we saw maybe even 3 months ago. But let me show you this screen real quick. You see the U.S. Treasury here. Are you seeing the 10-year Treasury?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 10-year Treasury back in March of last year hit this same level that it's at right now, and it spiked up here 2022. And that tends to not work well for technology stocks. When you start having an increase in interest rates, it tends to work better for bank stocks. It tends to not do very well for bonds if you've got bonds in your portfolio. It's kind of a rising interest rates push bonds down, and we can cover that in another week. But the reality is this 1.75% on the 10-year Treasury is a level I think a lot of people are looking at to rethink whether they want to have risk in the market or put money in bonds and things. And so we'll see what happens with the bond market, but I think that's going to have an impact on the stock market as well.
And I'm going to pop this up real quick. Yeah, this is, we talk about this from time to time. This is the CBOE volatility S&P 500, the VIX. We've talked about it, and I want to point out that if you look at kind of this Black Friday time period right after Thanksgiving into December, it really shot up. And I would say I start biting my nails when we get around the 28 mark or so, and it moved well above that for a few days, and then came right back down pretty low. And so December was just kind of a roller coaster month, and a lot of that is just the market's looking for its next leaders. I also wanted to highlight, if we could just spend some time here real quick. This is the S&P Small Cap 600 Index, and this is a group that is one of my favorite places to invest. I like these smaller mid-cap companies. They tend to be a little bit more agile at times. but it really hasn't done anything for quite some time. And so this is one that we have our eyes on, that we're looking to see if it might make a move. And this would be a telltale sign of how the economy is going to respond as well, just because there are so many small businesses that are really the heartbeat of the American economy.
Well, I think
Yeah.
the next week or so will really give us an insight into how 2022 is going to take off. The January effect usually is the way January goes, the way the market goes. And the first few days is a lot of jockeying for position out there. We had a pretty rough day a couple of days ago in the market, and we'll just see what happens as the institutions are, they tend to window dress. They try to get ugly things out of their portfolios at the end of the year, and then kind of reallocate the first few days of the new year. So we'll see what settles down here in the next couple of days.
That's good. Speaking of, industries and the market, our industry is going through a lot of changes. And even this morning, I got some really good feedback from a client who saw a disclaimer on my email, and it based and she said, Doug, what is this? What is this form CRS? And so the form CRS, what this is this defines the relationship of how we act and interact with you. And so it can talk about things like our policies, our procedures, our costs, our fees, our conflicts of interest, our history, how we've invested in ourselves, and then how we're communicating with you. It tells about our brand. And so if you ever see a regulatory statement at the end of one of our emails, or we send you a form document, or even on our webpage, that's basically a disclaimer talking a little bit more about how we want to be on the same side of the table as you. And so our industry is going through a couple different regulatory changes, and one of those this year has to do with rollovers. And so with rollovers, really our main goal at Gimbal is just to educate you on opportunities. And most people have a couple opportunities and choices that they could stick to. If you have money in a 401k plan and you leave a job and you have to do something with it, you've got a few choices, and we want to walk alongside of you and just explain those in detail so that you can make the best decision that you can. Of course, we love to manage the money, and that's where Keith and I spend a lot of time learning and studying. But for things like the rollover process, it's really pretty cut and dry. You've just got a couple options, and we want you to know them. We want you to feel really good about them, and then you can make your decision on what you want to do. So as things change in our business, we'll keep communicating with you. And there's some other changes happening even inside of tax situations. And now is a great time as you're preparing your taxes and looking at what's coming into the mail and preparing things for your CPA, to even get a list of questions for what you might want to ask your CPA this year. Maybe you've had some changes, you're entering retirement, you're wondering what you should be withholding. Maybe you've got a new job and you're wondering, how do I fill out these forms to make sure that I'm not overpaying or underpaying in? And it's just a good time to look through the changes and make sure we're talking about them.
I would probably say it's probably not as cut and dry as what Doug said. There's a lot of rules that vary between different types of retirement accounts. So I think that's where we can really add great value to you in the conversation, because the ERISA rules from the early 1970s were not designed to make things simple for you and me. And there's just not the same for each type of plan. So there's different rules for each different type of plan. But I think what we do a really good job of is just trying to make it cut and dry and simplified for you, so that what's simple to us might be very complicated and confusing for you. I would just encourage you, as 2022 starts out, to call, if you have a 401k, call your plan administrator, 401k, 403b, whatever your IRA, all of those accounts. get in touch with your plan administrator and review your beneficiary designations, because those things might not be what you think they are. And with the average American today, those assets are a substantial portion of your wealth. And if you don't have those beneficiary designations correctly, you may not actually accomplish what your heart's desire is.
Oh, man. Had a few of those conversations this week, even about titling bank accounts and looking at estate documents. That's always another great thing to do, especially when it's freezing cold outside, is just crack open your safe, pull out your estate documents, and make sure that those estate documents are really covering a few things. Number one, your will. Your will is your catch-all. It's where the stuff goes. Like Keith is mentioning, though, beneficiary designations trump what a will says. So if my will says give everything to Amanda, but my 401k documents say give everything to Eric, Eric gets the money from the 401k. And so it's really important to make sure that you have your will dancing with what your beneficiaries are. Another thing, really important in those estate documents, is your living will. And your living will basically is end of life instructions, and really important to have that done. Power of attorney can take care of financial things. Healthcare power of attorney, probably one of the more important ones for people today. Healthcare power of attorney. Make sure you have somebody who can help you with healthcare decisions and have backups so that they can support that person. A lot of times when somebody is in a health care situation, their loved one is not able to help them, and so they're operating with almost half a brain. And when the two became one and one's sick, it is tough. And so just to have a backup, a sounding board, family member, good friends, somebody that you can talk to, somebody who can even speak with a physician, would really add value to your life down the road. So just a good time to do some administrative work with all your financial documents.
And if you're looking for a lawyer,
sorry,
or I was just going to say, we have resources here. We have people that we can recommend to you if you're in need of one. So don't hesitate to give us a call.
With the discussion of the retirement accounts, I thought I'd just show you a quick change that's taken place as of January the 1st. And these are the new required distribution payout percentages for people who are 72 or older. What it did is essentially lowered the percentage that you have to take out every year. If you look as an example, with the rates last year, you'd have to take out 3.91% if you were 72. This year, it's only 3.65. And so the amount that you're required to take out, the percentage is going to drop for each of the following years going forward. So it may or may not affect you, but it's just a change that took place in 2021 to 2022.
Occasionally we'll get some questions about that. What do we do with our IRAs? What do we do about a Roth? What do we do about a traditional? There's rules around both of those that could either be advantageous. It just depends what your goal is. If your goal is to have income off these, then maybe you do a different thing. But if your goal is to have retirement funds saved up for even the next generation, there's some other tools that you could use, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that.
If you've heard the term a backdoor Roth contribution, that's a strategy for which might make sense for you to, if it doesn't fit your situation, it might make sense for a family member, but we'd be happy to even talk to you about that as 2022 kicks off. You have up until April 15th to get your 2021 contributions done for IRAs, and it'd be a good time to both do your 2021 and 2022 and accomplish a backdoor Roth contribution. So we can explain that in not as short a time as what we have here, but we'd be happy to tell you about it.
Yeah, shout out to one of my family members who challenged me and pushed me to learn that stuff. And so if you're listening, a couple of years ago, he challenged me on that, and he really helped me learn. So thank you for that.
Amanda, what'd you discover about COVID this week? Anything?
I haven't seen the new numbers, but while we were out of the office last week, or we were in the office, but virtually for the most part. This is the COVID tracker from December 30th. And the deaths from COVID-19 are taking similar direction as the markets a little bit, even though the COVID cases are spiking almost to where we were this time last year, where we kind of reached our peak. I think a number of us, even amongst this group, were affected by COVID during our Christmas season. To my knowledge, everyone's doing well and healthier. This Omicron variant seems to be not as dangerous per se as what we've seen in the past. Those deaths and cases are taking opposite directions as what we were seeing this time last year. So we aren't seeing the same shutdowns as we're seeing last year, as you all know, but I mean, it's all varying from state to state. So that's what I've got, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know that the cases were peaking like they were last year.
I would think that the cases are much higher than that graph shows, because that's recorded. And I'm on the home stretch coming out of COVID myself. I've had it for over a week here, and we had a household full of people, and there were 0 reported COVID cases out of our house. And talked to a client earlier this week that they had a house full that weren't reported, and so my guess is it's probably twice that high, would be my guess. And I talked to a physician earlier this week, and what he told me about the Omicron, if I said that right, it's been a long time since I had my Greek, but the Omicron is only got about a 3% hospitalization rate, and yet the hospitals are pretty full right now. So that tells me that there's a lot of people with the COVID right now. So I hope everybody does well with that. It's definitely a disruptor, but at the same time, I was thinking in my own situation, probably everybody has a different way of processing it, not only intellectually, but emotionally. It occurred to me this morning that when the people in our household started showing symptoms, I think our attitude was, well, this is what we have for the next few days or week or whatever. But it occurred to me, there's a lot of people that actually would have been much more anxious and literally concerned whether they were going to survive this situation. And that's not the way that we as a household perceived it. So my heart goes out to everybody that's battling their own little journey with that. But I think some natural immunity will really be building into our culture in the days ahead. What else?
That's it from the southwest or southeast corner of the United States. Spencer, you got anything else you need to tell everybody?
Yeah.
For once, he's frozen with words. I can't believe it. No, but no, this is great being with you guys and being with everybody again today. I'm really looking forward to 2022. From a market perspective, I love the start of the new year. It doesn't even mean it. It's kind of meaningless, but I do love fresh starts. I like that there's some rotation going on. So stay tuned. And I would just say, and for me too, just be patient. Be patient, and trends will move, and we're looking for them.
Right on. Thanks so much, guys. Stay warm.
Bye.
See you later.